What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz. I'm here for a SmackDown review for November the 20th, 2020. Survivor Series is this Sunday. We find out who is on Team Raw, on Team SmackDown completely for both the men and the women. We get a contract signing, which I honestly think this is the best contract signing WWE has done in a very, very long time. This was between Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. Why we had a contract signing, I don't know. But this was better than anything WWE has done in a contract signing in a long time. Face-to-face between Asuka and Sasha Banks. Buddy Murphy takes on his former Messiah, Seth Rollins, in a grudge match after what happened last week. And Jey Uso takes on the returning Daniel Bryan in a rematch from a few weeks ago. So we open the show with the tag team champions bringing their shtick from Monday Night Raw onto SmackDown. They talk about this coming Sunday, and then Big E appears wearing a sombrero instead of taking a style hat and jokes that it was all they had in the props department. Big E praises Raw Tag Team Champions Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods while the Street Profits hype themselves up. Big E believes the New Day will win on Sunday while the Profits insist they will take the win home. Big E reveals that Kofi and Woods are here tonight. He does the signature entrance in the face of the Profits and stares them down. And we go right inside the Amway Center, inside the Thunderdome, which is one of the last few episodes of SmackDown that will be going on in the Thunderdome inside the Amway Arena. I'm pretty sure they have one more episode of Raw and 2 more episodes of SmackDown inside the Thunderdome. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what we're going on this. So, Kofi and Woods take the mic and ring and check in the SmackDown Hotel one more time. They talk about being just 2 days away from Survivor Series. They need to say a few words to the Street Profits. Kofi says the Profits are out here talking about passing the torch, and they're right to want the smoke, but you don't want this fire. Because there will be dead men. And Kofi's like, whoa, dude, that's kind of harsh. I just want a match, man. Which is like, that's my segue into The Undertaker, 30 years of wrestling, because this is going to be his quote-unquote farewell, his farewell to WWE at Survivor Series. I'm still calling bullshit. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to come out there, and we're going to set up for a match at WrestleMania. Now, if it really is truly the farewell to The Undertaker, and this is the last time, outside of course a rightful Hall of Fame induction, this is the last time we see The Undertaker, then it only makes sense to do it at Survivor Series. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have The Undertaker, the only guy you would do this with? I don't know what the fuck's going on outside. I don't know if you hear that siren or not. But this is the only guy I would actually do this with. So, that's going to happen this Sunday. Out comes Sami Zayn. He complains about them and the fact that he has a match against Bobby Lashley on Sunday. He wants them to say something good about him because he says he's the hottest thing going today. They mention something about his uniform, his attire being like a divorced dad putting a down payment on a bachelor pad. Out comes Baron Corbin. He talks trash. Out comes Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They want a tag team title match because they feel that if they face these guys again, then they're going to win the tag team titles. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston play a little mind games and try and get these 4 guys to have a match. Basically, what the New Day do is they pretty much have Ziggler and Roode talking like, you guys can be a tag team match, but like Corbin, King, would you want these guys to step all over you and take your moment? And Sami Zayn and Corbin, go back and forth between Ziggler and Roode, pretty much falling into what the New Day want them to do. Ziggler and Roode look to square up on Corbin and Sami Zayn, but they turn right around and beat the hell out of the New Day, which, who didn't see that coming? Street Profits come down, they make the save, and we have ourselves an 8-man tag match. Typical WWE booking. Now, we could have possibly had Corbin and Sami Zayn versus Ziggler and Rude. Winner gets a tag team title match later. Didn't see that happening. Who the hell would want to see that match anyway? But instead, we get an 8-man tag team match with 2 tag team champions, which are good teams, great teams. A decent team in Ziggler and Rude, and then you have Baron Corbin and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is if they were a team, Sami Zayn would be the Shawn Michaels and Baron Corbin would be the Marty Jannetty. Just saying. So, we had this match, and nothing special. The only thing I can say about this match is, man, halfway through the match, there was a miscommunication between Kofi and Montez Ford, which Montez Ford got laid out. Big frog splash at the end. 1, 2, 3, and the tag team champions get the win. Both teams are sizing each other up, showing off their championships, talking about after the match how, just jarring back and forth who's going to win on Sunday. Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre will sign the contract. Also, Murphy will take on Seth Rollins. Looks like Leo Mysterio will be in his corner. We see how Daniel Bryan was destroyed by Jey Uso a few weeks back, and Bryan will return to face Uso tonight. Bryan is shown backstage with Caleb Braxton. Sami Zayn walks up by ranting and yelling about the loss. Sami stops and starts ranting at Bryan about respect. Bryan smiles and covers his mouth with his mask. Bryan shoves Sami to the ground. Sami gets up and is like, if I wasn't for the fact that I have a big match on Sunday, I would make you pay. This isn't over. I don't forget. And he walks off. By the way, who the fuck approved that hairstyle? So, let me get this straight. Women can't change their hairstyle yet, or they'll feel the wrath of WWE. They can't do anything to their bodies. They can't get piercings. They can't get tattoos that are seeable. They can't have their hair done differently without feeling the wrath of WWE. But Daniel Bryan and all the men can do whatever the fuck they want. That's kind of fucked up. Daniel Bryan had his entire, I don't know what the hell it's called, but he had both sides of his head. I think maybe it's called a fade or something. He had both sides of his head shaved down, but he had the top of his hair still, and I think the back as well. I'm thinking, who approved this shit? Because this looked terrible. Bryan, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? He says that he likes to have as often as he can social distancing. Back from breaking Daniel Bryan with Taylor Braxton, she compliments him about his new hairstyle and brings up the attack from Jey a few weeks back. She shows us a video package with footage of the Survivor Series qualifying match and a post-match attack. Bryan says he saw a Jey interview where he said everything that happened wasn't personal. And Bryan actually believes him because Jey has a devil on his shoulder shouting and telling him what to do, pushing him hard. He understands because everyone has an angel and a devil on their shoulders. Really? Because I don't have either. Bryan asks who we think is speaking more to him as he gets ready for his match, reminding him of his daughter crying when she saw him, so he is worried about coming back too soon. No, and if Jay's listening, nothing is personal, and he walks off. So that is your main event of tonight, and I'm thinking, is this going to be since Hell in a Cell, Jey Uso has been in the main event, I think, 3 out of 4 times, or how many weeks in a row. The dude's definitely improved himself, and out of the 2, I don't know how Jimmy would respond as being a singles guy, but Jay's been doing so well. Producer Anders Pierce is backstage. He can't see who he's talking to, but he's talking about picking the final team member for Team SmackDown for the men's team. He goes about how this person's resiliency, how they have bounced back through everything, and it turns out to be Otis. And I'm thinking to myself, Rude, Ziggler, can't be doing anything else. Did you think there was going to be anybody else but Otis? I know Otis is supposed to be this guy who you felt like Vince McMahon had maybe a plan for, and then he dropped that because Vince McMahon gets tired. But still, I say to this day, he peaked at WrestleMania, and everything after this is just, Vince McMahon letting him think that he has something. Chad Gable is with him. Gable celebrates with Otis and says they did it together, and now it's time to get Otis ready. He thanks Pierce. They walk off. Natalya walks on and is like, wait a minute, Adam. You can name talent people to the team. Well, why aren't you doing that to me? Adam Pierce lets her know, it's like, no. I get to pick one member for the men's, one member for the women. Now, because she's in a match against Tamina, the winner gets on to the final spot in the Survivor Series team. And he's like, I need a woman who has leadership, championship pedigree, and I chose Bayley, which was obvious. The former two-time SmackDown Women's Champion who held the title last for over a year. There's no reason she needed to qualify. Natalya has had multiple opportunities. I think like 3 up until now. Why should she be on Team SmackDown and just be given given a spot? She's not happy, and she walks off. Bathroom break, and we see Seth Rollins in the back. He says Murphy was nothing and a nobody before he took him under his wing. I saved him and gave him a new life and is responsible for everything that good Murphy has in his life. Even his burgeoning career, his bright future, even his beautiful girlfriend. If it wasn't from him and the greater good, Murphy would have never met Aaliyah Mysterio. I mean, okay, sure, whatever. In return, I got stabbed in the back, set up, betrayed. He wants Murphy to remember that he will no longer stand up for Murphy's mistakes, and Murphy will have to pay for them, and he will teach Murphy his final lesson tonight, and will go back to what he was before Rollins saved him. Nothing, no more. Last chance qualifying match for the Survivor Series team, Natalya versus Tamina Snuka. Out on commentary is Bianca Belair. Out comes Bayley. This match lasts about maybe 2 minutes. Sharpshooter, tap out. Natalya, after weeks and weeks and weeks of failing to make the team, finally makes the team. And you gotta feel sorry for Chelsea Green, because I asked this question last week. What was the point of putting Chelsea Green in that match if she wasn't going to be put in the finish? I didn't know at the time when I was recording that during that spot that she took off of the apron, she broke her wrist. Apparently, the same wrist she broke about 1.5 years ago in a match against, I can't remember who she was against, but it was in a dark match at Full Sail, and she was gone for a few months. She was supposed to win that match last week and be on Team Survivor Series for SmackDown. And unfortunately, the breaks just go the opposite way, and the Riot Squad are on there. So, yeah. After the match, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott come out, and Bayley enters the ring, and Natalya hugs her, which she eventually pushes her off of her. Bayley, all 5 women are in the ring. They all eventually raise hands together, and they are your SmackDown team for SmackDown for Survivor Series. Now, the teams, whatever. But the biggest difference between this team and Team Raw, especially with Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce being thrown on this week, is that Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan are a tag team. They are friendly with the likes of Bianca Belair. Natalya is Natalya and Bayley is Bayley. There's not as much tension in this group as there's been on Team Raw. You don't have any members of Team Raw Team SmackDown, throwing one of their teammates through an announce table over and over and over and over again. So, we'll talk about that all in a bit. It's going to be a really short predictions, but we will have predictions on the Survivor Series after we're done here. So, Natalya's on Team SmackDown to kind of figure that's where they were going. We go to tonight's contract signing between Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. Drew makes his way out to the ring. He's sitting at the table on Roman Reigns' beauty kits, and he takes his sweet old time. He's just waiting. He's making Drew McIntyre wait and wait and wait and wait. He finally eventually does come down, gets in the ring. And you know how they had the table, they have 2 chairs on each side, and then the chair above where the moderator usually sits. Well, Roman's like, no, we ain't doing this bullshit, and kicks Adam Pearce out of that chair and takes it for himself to sit and have a closer look at Drew McIntyre. And this was great. No microphones needed. Of course, we're in the Thunderdome. I don't know why anybody's using a microphone inside the Thunderdome. We can hear what they're saying. The reason you use microphones when you have a full crowd is so we can hear what people are saying. But when you're in the Thunderdome, they can crank down the volume of the crowd. Even with the fake crowd noise being on full blast, we still hear what they are saying. They don't have to yell. They don't have to scream. Somebody finally figured out, whoa, we don't need to do that for this. We can just have them there and have a conversation as if they weren't inside a wrestling arena and they weren't out in front of a huge audience, which they're not, and they could just sit there and have a talk. Takes his time. Let's see. Drew ends up signing the contract, fans jam on. Hands the time. Hold on. Reigns takes his time getting to the ring. Reigns tells Drew he knew he could do it. He could pull it off. Heyman didn't, but Reigns knew he could pull it off because he's been in Drew's shoes before. He knows Drew is trying to get his head provoke him to flipping the table over and going off, but that's not going to happen. Drew says he's going to get to the point. Reigns told him to do it, get himself a title, and he did, but not for Reigns, for himself. He signs a contract. Fans cheer him on. He hands the contract over to Reigns, telling him it's his turn, his show, and his move. He asks Reigns to please underestimate him. He advises Reigns to use these last 2 days of peace and prepare for war. Reigns smirks and goes on to ink the contract, but he stops and can't believe Drew would try to give him advice. Heyman advises him, and Reigns is going to give Drew the advice and let him sit under the learning tree. Drew isn't going to like where you're going on Sunday, and he won't understand the brutal truth. But one day he will understand. He's a secondary title holder, a prop, a stand-in. You know, when Roman Reigns isn't available for a meet and greet or something, or he doesn't want to, they go and get Drew. He was in the wrong place. He was in the right place at the wrong time, he said too. He goes on taking shots at Drew for being the champion they use when Reigns is busy. Says he's the champion, the face of WWE, Drew's tribal chief, and the head of the table. He says one day Drew will have the chance to be the man, the face of the company, and when he does, he will look back at these nights and thank Reigns and love him for the time he's allowed him and the lessons. And finally, he signs the contract, tells Drew that he will always be his favorite number 2. Drew is still seated. A "You Suck" chant is played up. His music starts. Drew stands at the table and Reigns makes his exit with Heyman. Drew's music now starts up and he stares back at Reigns, making his way to the back. I could do that no justice, but that was great. This was by far one of the things that sucks about contract signings is that you would have both or multiple superstars, stand there, trading barbs, sign the contract, and then somebody ends up usually going through the table. This was not that. This was no yelling, no screaming, no fighting, no nothing. Just 2 men sitting there saying, and I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it on Sunday. And just watch this segment and you'll see why Roman Reigns as a heel is the best thing they could have done for this guy. Because babyface Roman Reigns would have flipped the table, would have attacked him. It would have been like, oh, we're going to do this on Sunday. I'm going to kick your ass. No. This guy's cool, calm, collected, and did a hell of a job. This was great. Colin Graves hype Rollins versus Murphy. We see it happen in the last few weeks. Last week in the final chapter of Rollins versus Rey Mysterio feud, which the reason they're ending the feud with Rollins and Reigns, Mysterio, is because Seth is taking time off in the coming weeks to be with his fiancée who's pregnant with their first child, and wants to be home, which he should be home with his kid for the first few weeks. So good on him, and I'm sure we'll see him back around. Seth Rollins should not return until the Royal Rumble, plain and simple. So we have this match. Seth Rollins comes out first. We go to commercial, back for break, and out comes Murphy with Aaliyah, Ray, and Dominic Mysterio. So the whole Mysterio family minus Angie, who Angie doesn't even need to be in this. If Angie's not like getting physically involved or anything, keep her at home. She doesn't need to be out there. She brings nothing to this thing at all. Just keep her at home. Murphy walks ahead with the Mysterios following him down the ramp, trailing behind him. He rushes and jumps on the apron, but Rollins knocks him to the floor. Mysterios check on Murphy, and Rollins yells and waits for him to fight. Murphy runs back in and bell rings. And this was a brawl. These guys went hard, but still, Murphy got dominated for the majority of the time. Aaliyah needs to work on her. What she's gonna say. She's like, come on, get up, Murphy, the whole time, and it just didn't feel like she was in it for that. Now, getting halfway through the match, during the middle of the match, Murphy gets caught up or gets tied up into the ring, into the ropes by Seth Rollins. Now, Seth goes out and grabs it, goes for a kendo stick. The ref says, hey, man, I'm going to disqualify you if you use that. He's like, I don't give a damn if I get disqualified. I'm going to make this guy pay. He goes to come in. Rey Mysterio grabs the kendo stick. Doesn't pull it out of his hand. Rollins comes back down. He beats up Rey Mysterio. Dominic comes over. He gets pushed over too. While this is going on, Murphy is still hung up in the ropes. Aaliyah has her hands on her head wondering, what the hell do I do? Somebody should have told her that this was the moment because he's distracted. You go help your boyfriend. On-screen boyfriend. She didn't do that. Eventually, Murphy does get out of it. He slides out and he goes and beats up Rollins. But Murphy goes to the top. Rollins shoves him off and he goes flying from the top floor. A concerned Aaliyah walks over to check on Murphy. Rollins approaches and intimidates her, causing her to fall as she backs away from ringside. Rollins laughs at her and stares her down as the referee counts, and we go to commercial break. Now, that entire sequence was just so dumb. Aaliyah has had some great spots in the acting spots in this, but this was not one of those days. I mean, yeah, it just didn't look good. But in the end, as we get to the end of this match, this was a long match. This was the best match of the night, by the way. Rollins goes for the buckle bomb and nails it, which I thought the buckle bomb was banned, but silly me. Causing Murphy to collapse in front of him, Rollins goes for the stomp, but Murphy explodes with a big V-trigger knee strike. Rollins misses another stomp, eats another big knee. Murphy capitalizes, hits Murphy Law. Rollins is laid out. The Mysterios encourage Murphy. He slowly makes the pin and gets the win. After the match, Murphy and the Mysterios celebrate in the middle of the ring as his music hits and as the fake fans cheer him on. So Seth Rollins has put over Murphy. He will be a part of Survivor Series on Sunday, and honestly, I think that should be the last time we see Rollins for 2020. Rollins should take the rest of the year off, go spend time with his woman, be there for the baby, come back for the Royal Rumble. He should be like a surprise return at the Royal Rumble. Just my thoughts. We immediately go to the stage and out comes Sasha Banks while Murphy and them are still in the ring. She poses and begins heading to the ring as we go to commercial break. We come back, they're gone, Asuka's there now, they're going to have a face-to-face. What the hell was Sasha Banks wearing? She literally looked like someone took the fabric, the stuff that they make for bandanas, they use for bandanas, and just said, we're going to take that, we're not going to cut it, and we're not going to cut it for a bandana, we're going to make a entire bodysuit out of it for you, because she was wearing that, and it looked really weird. So the announcers talk, Daniel Bryan, Street Profits, and Baylor will be on Talking Smack. Cole's in the middle of the ring. He brings up Asuka. They have the little jarring back and forth. This has been going on since the summer. Sasha, of course, won her 5th Raw Women's Championship from Asuka. Asuka beat her in her first defense, which was part of the course for Sasha Banks. And now they meet at Survivor Series. Not much else you can say about this. I really don't care for Asuka and her talking in Japanese, which that's fine if you're in Japan and she doesn't do well at the English, which is fine. But it's like, don't let her do promos. Honestly, if anybody needs somebody to speak for them, Asuka is that person. I mean, some people might find it highly entertaining, but I do not. Carmella comes from behind, attacks Sasha Banks. She beats the hell out of Sasha Banks. Asuka looks like a blithering idiot doing nothing. She pretty much looks at us like, you know what? I got this woman on Sunday, and I don't want to really help her, even though it's the right thing to do. I'm just going to sit here, and just the look on Asuka's face just made Asuka look really dumb. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but it really made Asuka look dumb. So, that was that. Kaylee catches up with Jey Uso backstage, Daniel Bryan, and what he said earlier, unless Jey isn't allowed to talk to her. He says, oh, you got jokes, but he has the green light to talk to her, and the green light to put the end to Daniel Bryan and finish what he did a couple weeks ago. He heard talking like he couldn't be responsible for his own actions. Uso says he did what he did to Bryan because he wanted to. Yeah, sure. Says there's no angle of voice talking to him, and the only voice talking to him is the one right in him. He called them demons, I believe. And right now it's telling him to go get it done. So, the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. This was, I'm telling you right now, well, if you would have told me when Roman Reigns came back that his first feud was going to be with his cousin, and it was going to be a hell of a feud, and Jey Uso was going to be elevated to main event status, or semi-main event status, because dude's been in the main event of SmackDown for weeks now. I think last week was a different main event. But for the most part, Jey Uso's been in the main event of SmackDown since post-Payback. So, I'm going to have to say that this guy he's, like, remember when Big E was given his blessing by the New Day to go chase his singles aspirations? And it started off fine with him, but after the New Day was split up, they just turned him into this comedy act. And it went from, wow, Big E's going to become he's going to have a chance to be a big star. And yet, I think WWE forgot that they were going to be doing that with Big E because they haven't been. But Jey Uso, probably because he's been working with Roman and he's been working with Paul Heyman, is on the come up as a big star. I can honestly see, I don't see WWE Universal Champion in his future, but Intercontinental Champion, yes, I could see him winning the Intercontinental title, whether it's from Sami Zayn or somebody else. And then, if things work out well, he wins the Intercontinental title, and then you have brother versus brother for the Intercontinental title. I could see that. But this got brutal fast. Like, Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso is hammering him early. Daniel Bryan beating him up later. These guys, showed you that, this is what wrestling is good. This is when you have good personal wrestling. They say nothing's personal, but you could see every kick, every punch, everything that these guys unloaded on each other. This was personal. Absolutely personal. They beat the bejesus out of each other. Now, I don't know what happened, but the last thing I saw was Bryan trying to put in the S-lock, and Uso getting out of that, driving stiff elbows and knees to the kidney and back and kidneys of Daniel Bryan. And then my thing went to a commercial, and it didn't come back until my local news came up, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? So, I don't know what happened. Apparently, I got to saw Wrestling Inc. here, and it's apparently Uso talks some trash and delivers another super kick. He goes to the top for the Uso splash, but Bryan gets his knees up. Tangled for a second, Bryan turns it into a roll-up and gets the win. So Daniel Bryan gets the win. I don't know what happened. I'm sitting here. and it's just commercial, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Of course, I do over the air. I don't like. I have some cable, but I don't have my local channel, so I have a antenna thing to be able to watch SmackDown, which is on Fox. So I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm sitting here like, what happened to the end of the show? So yeah, I'm gonna have to just say Daniel Bryan won, and that is that. So that is SmackDown, and it is the Go Home Show. Pretty decent episode. I think WWE, it's either WWE has given up on the Lars Sullivan garbage, or they're waiting till after Survivor Series, because we saw it for a couple weeks and then they just stopped doing them. They stopped doing this whole Lars Sullivan thing. Maybe they heard the backlash of Lars Sullivan and was like, yep, we're just going to cancel this. SmackDown's over. Now we're going to talk about Survivor Series. We have 7 matches. 7 matches. There is going to be a dual-branded Battle Royal on the pre-show, apparently. Do I care who wins? Absolutely not. What does the winner get? I don't know, and I really don't care. Let's go to the main card. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. Champion versus champion match number 1. I'm going to say Roman wins this one. This should be a hell of a match. This match, honestly, babyface Drew McIntyre versus heel Roman Reigns could honestly be a hell of a match. If you have Roman wrestling the way he has been over the last few weeks, or last 2 months, and the way Drew McIntyre has been going, this should be a hell of a match. Asuka versus Sasha Banks. This one's a major toss-up because Asuka, Sasha are what? 2-2? Like 1-1 or 2-2 right now. I'm going to say Asuka gets the win. I don't think they're going to do, which they'd be stupid to do, the Monday Night Raw cleans up again. That'd be stupid. New Day versus Street Profits, tag champion versus champion. I'm going with the Street Profits. Got to build these guys up. They didn't really get much to do on Raw other than that stupid Viking Raiders bullshit, which is finally over. So I think the Street Profits win this one, get themselves a big boost, beating the New Day. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. Bobby Lashley wins. Don't even want to go into that one. And the 2 teams matches we have. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Survivor Series 5-on-5 women's match. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce versus Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Bayley, and Natalya. I'm going to be real blunt on it. This is going to be the 10th time we see Lana going through the announce table. She's going to cost Nia Jax her participation. Nia Jax is going to get infuriated. She's going to have Lana be the legal person. She's going to have her thrown outside. She's going to put her through the announce table, and Lana's going to get knocked out that way. Just the way I see that. SmackDown wins this one. I just don't see a reason for Monday Night Raw to win. There's literally, other than Shayna Baszler, unless Shayna Baszler is the sole survivor for Monday Night Raw, I don't see Monday Night Raw winning this one. 5-on-5, AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Matt Riddle versus Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, and Seth Rollins, and Otis. Even though there's been, and this is the thing, they've been having Raw bicker back and forth for weeks. The only thing that I can see happening in this one is somehow, someway, Monday Night Raw gets the victory. And I'd say possibly, and it'd be really smart to have Keith Lee be the sole survivor. That'd be really huge for his career, but this is WWE. So I'm going to say it's probably I'm going to say probably AJ Styles or Braun Strowman get the final tally. Battle Royal, so let's go over this again. Battle Royal participants, I don't care. Dual Battle Royal, I don't care. I have Roman over Drew. Asuka over Sasha Banks. Street Profits over the New Day. Bobby Lashley over Sami Zayn. So it's 2-2 at that time. Team SmackDown over Team Raw, which it makes it team. So we're going to tie. Wow, they really didn't do this right at all. Well, there's a dual brand, so honestly, I think whoever wins the dual brand is going to win the overall score for Survivor Series. But that is your SmackDown review and your Survivor Series predictions. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Parler at the France Club. Fuck Twitter. Find me on twitch.tv/the France Club. Find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I'll see you guys Sunday for Survivor Series. Until then, my name is the France, and I'll see you guys later.